Hey guys, what's up? It's been a bit since I've posted now. I think the last video I did was the contest recap from when I did the competition with the NPC. And I actually had another video between this one and that one that I was going to put up, the promised video of the John Hansen interview. And I did the interview with John, and unfortunately, it didn't get recorded. And I felt terrible because it was a really great interview. We got to get into some things about kind of what was going on in his head, wanting to compete again after age 60. And I thought it was really a heartfelt dialogue that we had, and I was really happy to have had it, and I wanted to put it up on the internet. And then when I came to do the editing, I realized that the file was corrupt. So I guess I should have two backups from now on. But anyway, we may revisit that at some point. I don't know. But I am trying to get some more variety of content involved. I still consider myself kind of a newbie to YouTube, even though we've been on YouTube with Pec Sculptor since before 2020. But it was mostly just promo videos and stuff like that. We throw some promo videos up, some commercials, an infomercial up. Some of the stuff that we had like on the TV ads. And if we bought spots on cable for an infomercial or whatever, we would take that content, we would just put it on YouTube, and that was kind of it. Aside from a few kind of little impromptu anatomy lectures of myself in front of the chalkboard doing some things, explaining the ins and outs about Pec Sculptor, there wasn't much to it. So I thought that it would be interesting to share with the audience what the journey has been like from the perspective of a small business owner, of having developed the Pec Sculptor, getting it up and running, and having to navigate through the waters of COVID and now this new era of tariffs. So let's go ahead and get right into that. And we'll start back in 2018 when everything really started with Pec Sculptor, at least when things started to become commercialized. The idea had been around for quite some time, as I've related. But in 2018, we decided to commercialize this process. And in 2018, the economic landscape was quite different than it is now, and it was much different than it was in 2020. In 2018, the political climate was also quite different. And I feel that there was more resonance with the all-American branding. And we definitely wanted to tap into that one because we were proud of the product being all-American. We wanted it to be that. And also, it seemed to make sense from a business decision as well. People liked all-American. So it wasn't just us that liked it, but the clients liked it too. And we wanted to... We wanted to leverage that. So we made the decision very early on to use nothing but all-American steel, all-American fabrics for the pads, all-American foam, American workers, the seamstresses that were seaming the pads together, the people that were assembling it, absolutely everything, total, all-American. And things were going very well. We had, I think, 2018, 2019, and then going into 2020, we were going to get the product into, I don't want to say truck stops because they're more than that, but these stations like Love's, Pilots, Flying J, things like that. I guess you call them truck stops. Because our surprise top clientele was actually truck drivers. We thought it was going to be young, men interested in fitness, and people that were interested in bodybuilding. And while we certainly had that, the biggest surprise was the amount of interest we got from truck drivers. And we get a lot of comments on that. When are you going to make this commercially available? So we went down that road, and we were in discussions with these different retailers when COVID hit, and that kind of changed the landscape. We had a warehouse rented, and we were assembling out of the warehouse. We had our inventory there and everything. And then as slowly things started to shut down, we had to think about how we were going to negotiate those waters. And it wasn't easy. At the beginning, I thought that it would be a good thing to do to take some of the seamstresses and put them on making face masks, right? Because at the very beginning of COVID, things were very unsure, right? We didn't know. We knew there was this virus coming, but we didn't know exactly the severity of it. We thought it was going to be very bad, though, very, very bad. So everybody wanted to do whatever part they could, and I was no different. I did an interview with, I think, the local Fox News station about what we were doing with COVID and everything, and how that was affecting us. And I think that's up on the channel. But I said some very stupid things retroactively that I regret. I don't really regret making the face masks, putting our seamstresses on those, because it seemed like the right thing to do at the time. I mean, how much is a face mask going to protect you? A little bit, it will. But I mean, there are also some things about that are a bit silly, because when you have a face mask, you are going to mess with it more, and it had never been studied in that context. It's mostly for surgery and whatnot. But so I don't really regret that. I do think that did provide some benefit. I won't say that it didn't. But then they asked me what my thoughts were about how COVID was going to affect small businesses and the economic impact. And I said, again, retroactively, one of the stupidest things I think I've ever said. I said that small business should be getting a leg up from COVID. And my rationale for saying that was, one of our foam manufacturers, a great big industry here, local to Florida, they decided to go under because of COVID. They decided to go under. They weren't forced under. But if they went under and they listed COVID as the reason, they were able to take advantage of a bunch of economic aid programs and then reincorporate under a different entity and a different name, and taking advantage of those new funds or something like that. This is the story as it was communicated to me anyway. And when I saw that, I was like, man, we were getting all our foam for them. What are we going to do? And sure enough, a small business came and stepped in that otherwise wouldn't have had a shot at us considering them, because we were very happy where we were at. So that was kind of the rationale behind my statement. But looking back, I mean, small business was just devastated by COVID, and mine was no different. The first thing that happened was we saw the prices skyrocket on everything. So the materials that the PEC sculpture is comprised of, they skyrocketed. Salaries were beginning to be altered as well, and before long, we saw that we couldn't keep the price where it was at, so we had to increase the prices. And then before long, it still wasn't working, so we had to find a way to reduce the cost of goods, the cost to manufacture. And we ended up doing something that I promised myself we'd never do. We removed the All American label from our advertising. All American made, All American, and we ordered inventory from China. And we did that for a little bit, and we were able to push forward a little bit longer. And it didn't stop the prices from increasing. So before long, we had to increase the prices again, even with the cheaper materials from China. And it was a very sad thing. And this lasted throughout COVID, and we're still in this situation today. I don't dare order American now for the cost of goods, or for the goods, because it's too expensive. But now with all of the tariffs, it's a rock and a hard place again. Do I want to keep importing from China? Something I don't want to do to begin with, but the American manufacturing market, that's kind of already X'd out for me. China has increased tariffs on it. So do I go with them? I don't know. But no matter which direction we go, the price of the product is going to increase. And I do think that China still has a leg up on what they're offering. So it's a very interesting situation, and you'll see this reflected on the price of the product if you go on the website. And it's heartbreaking too, because people that ordered 5 years ago, they got a very quality product, and they'll still get that quality product today, but they'll pay 50, 60% more for it. And it gets to a point where it's like, well, how much are people going to spend in this economy on a piece of fitness equipment? Which, yes, it works. It targets your chest muscles. It'll give you those cuts. It'll give you, it does all of these things. But people have less money today. There's less money going around. And if you have less money going around, you tend to try to take more hours when you're working. There's less hours for exercise. There are all sorts of things. So I don't know what the ultimate economic impact of these tariffs are going to be, but I'm very concerned. And I don't want to get too political on the channel, but there were a lot of promises made during the campaign. And I think in principle, the idea of placing tariffs on countries that are tariffing the United States disproportionately, I think this is fine. This is sound. But I think the implementation of this process has to be very, very targeted. I don't think doing it uniform across the board to countries that deserve it, countries that don't deserve it, without taking into consideration the peculiarities and uniqueness of each scenario. I don't know that that's particularly helpful. Now with China, yeah, we probably should have the tariffs there. I do agree with that. But you would think that would bring down a lot of the materials costs in the United States, and I haven't seen that yet, personally. And I worry, in part, this is because the tariffs are targeting other countries as well that otherwise would have a great trade relationship with the United States, which would help the economy to recover. Switzerland is one of them, a country that I have very deep ties with. I'm a dual citizen with the United States and Switzerland. And the 39% tariff on Switzerland, that's something that's not really justified. I can't see how anyway. And this scenario is repeated with other countries as well. So, and I'm not saying this to pick a fight with the current administration or really pick on them. I can say it up front. I did vote for Donald Trump, and I agree with a lot of his policies, including the one on tariffs in principle. But the implementation of it and the timing of it is thus far it hasn't really worked out, and it makes small business owners like myself very, very nervous, because even if for some reason it is the 100% correct decision to do it as it's being done right now, we don't know that for certain. And because of that uncertainty, decisions are being made, and investment practices are altered. Certain decisions are made when others are avoided. And that could potentially be different if we had confidence in the market. If you're going to invest in one thing, you would say, well, I think I can invest in this thing because the market is good, and I think it's relatively low risk. Whereas if things are all uncertain and you don't know what's going on, you say, well, maybe I don't want to invest in that because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So you can see this in real estate quite demonstrably, at least in Florida. This is an industry that I'm also involved in, and they're very interesting times. So anyway, this is pretty much the state of affairs with a lot of different small businesses across the board. I've talked to other people in real estate. I've talked in residential, commercial, it doesn't matter. I've talked to other manufacturers for fitness equipment, technological manufacturers, people that have contracts with the military. Actually, they're doing pretty good. But all sorts of industries, and it's very sad, and I hope it does change, but I think only time will tell. So anyway, I'm trying some new content here. This is a bit of a behind the scenes look at what goes on at Peck Sculpture in particular, as kind of a case study for small business America, from a company that tried very, very hard to be all American, and we did so for as long as humanly possible, and unfortunately we were forced overseas. And to date, the regulations that have been implemented to bring this type of business, my type of business, back to the United States shores, at least in my case, have not incentivized us enough to be able to do it. And now we're facing a situation where whether we stay offshore or we come back to the United States, coastline, or with back to the domestic U.S., we're still looking at a very, very bleak economic outcome because people have less and less money to spend, especially on things like fitness equipment.